Most people are waiting for a hero to save their lives. They wait for a New Year's resolution, a promotion, or a sign from the universe. But here is the cold, hard truth that most people in London, New York, or Sydney are too afraid to admit. No one is coming. You are currently living in the weight of neglect. Think about that one task on your to-do list, the one that's been sitting there for 3 weeks while you scrolled through TikTok. Why are you avoiding it? As the great philosopher Marcus Aurelius said, you could be good today. Instead, you choose tomorrow. In this audiobook, we aren't just talking. We are rebuilding you. If you can't finish this video, you won't finish your goals. Are you a talker or are you a doer? Let's find out. Chapter 1. The Weight of Neglect. Facing the Uncomfortable Truth. Maximum people in the modern world are not living. They are merely reacting. Whether you are sitting in a high-rise in New York City, commuting through the streets of London, or working a 9 to 5 in Sydney, the struggle is the same. You feel a persistent, heavy pull at the back of your mind. It is the task you haven't completed, the habit you haven't broken, and the decision you've postponed for weeks, months, or perhaps even years. You tell yourself you are waiting for the perfect day to begin. But as the Roman philosopher Seneca once said, while we are postponing, life speeds by. There is no perfect day, there is only today. If you aren't willing to face it now, the truth is, you likely never will. This audiobook is not here to comfort you. Comfort never built a better life. This is for the person who is tired of falling back into the same cycles. If you are ready to stop wasting time and start building something that lasts, this is your starting point. No more soft talk. Let's get into it. Improvement does not start when things are perfect. It starts when you stand up and deal with what has been slowing you down. Think about your current lifestyle. You might feel unmotivated, so you delay your work. You feel tired, so you skip the gym. But your life does not care how you feel. It only reflects what you actually do. The price of avoidance. You see, it's not the massive, mountain-sized goals that break people. It is the small lies they tell themselves every single morning. It is the silent agreement you make with your weaker self every time you choose the path of least resistance. That inner voice that says, "You'll do it tomorrow," is not your friend, it is the enemy. It protects your comfort but destroys your progress. In the Western world, we have become masters of distraction. We have apps to entertain us and hacks to avoid hard work. But do you know what's harder than facing a difficult task? Living with the results of never doing it. That is the weight of neglect. The power of honesty. To grow, you don't need to be perfect, you just need to be honest. Be honest about the patterns stealing your energy. Be honest about how you've let yourself slide. Be honest about what you have been running from. Most people fall not because they are weak, but because they are waiting to feel strong before they act. But that is a fundamental misunderstanding of human psychology. Action comes first, the feeling follows later. Strength is earned by doing hard things, not by thinking about them. Real-life application. Look at your life today. If your room is messy, clean it. If your finances are a source of anxiety, open your bank account and look at the numbers. If your health is failing, eat a proper meal today, not tomorrow. The moment you face the problem is the moment you take your power back. Every problem you ignore grows in the dark, but every problem you face shrinks in the light of action. You may think that you need a new course, a new app, or a special secret to change your life. You don't. You need courage and discipline. No one is coming to rescue you. No one is going to wake you up early or fix your problems for you. You have to rise up and take that first step when no one is clapping for you. That is real growth. Now ask yourself, why is it that even when we know what to do, we still don't do it? Why does our mind feel so cluttered even when we have a clear goal? The answer isn't in your mind, it's in your surroundings. You cannot build a focused, high-performance life in the middle of chaos. In Chapter 2, we are going to reveal the psychological link between your physical environment and your mental clarity. If you think your messy desk is harmless, you are wrong. It is a silent killer of your focus. Let's find out why you must clean your space before you can ever hope to clean your mind. Chapter 2. Clean your space before you clean your mind. Look around the space you inhabit right now. Whether it is your studio apartment in London, your home office in the suburbs of Toronto, or even the digital desktop on your MacBook, what do you see? Look at the clutter, the half-finished projects, the unwashed coffee mugs, and the stack of mail you've been meaning to get to. Many people view a messy room as a sign of a busy life or a creative mind. They are lying to themselves. That mess is not just physical debris. It is a visible manifestation of your internal state, your unresolved decisions, and a fundamental lack of personal discipline. As the billionaire businessman and former mayor of New York, Michael Bloomberg, once noted, "If you can't be trusted to do the small things well, why would anyone trust you with the big things?" Your environment is an anchor. It either holds you in place or provides the foundation for you to launch. You cannot build a sharp, focused, high-performance mind in the middle of a chaotic environment. If your outer world is in shambles, your inner world will forever struggle to find peace. The psychology of the silent stressor. In our modern, high-speed lifestyle, we are obsessed with clarity and motivation. We listen to podcasts and read books searching for a mental breakthrough. But it is nearly impossible to feel motivated when you wake up in a room where clothes are strewn across the floor and every surface is covered in reminders of tasks you haven't handled. This is what psychologists call cognitive load. Every piece of clutter in your peripheral vision is a silent demand for your attention. Your brain is constantly processing the fact that the trash needs to be taken out or the desk needs to be organized. This silent stress chips away at your power, leaving you with zero energy for the work that actually matters. Taking back the territory, cleaning your space is the first act of reclaiming your sovereignty. It is about showing yourself that you are capable of imposing order on the world. When you throw out what you don't need, you train your brain to stop clinging to things that no longer serve you. Winston Churchill famously said, "We shape our buildings, thereafter they shape us." This applies to your bedroom just as much as it applies to Parliament. When you put things in order, your brain starts to believe that you are a person of order. It sees action, and action is the only antidote to the mental fog that keeps you stuck. The digital clutter. For those living in the tech-heavy landscapes of Silicon Valley or the corporate hubs of Sydney, the mess isn't just physical, it's digital. A phone filled with 5,000 unorganized photos, a desktop cluttered with random screenshots, and an inbox with 300 unread, useless emails. Every notification and every disorganized folder is a leak in your energy tank. If you don't respect your digital space, you won't respect your time. You must be ruthless. Unfollow the accounts that drain you. Delete the apps that distract you. Clear the noise so you can finally hear your own thoughts. The identity of a leader. This is not about being a neat freak. This is about identity. When you keep your space clean, you are sending a signal to your subconscious. I care. I matter. My goals are important enough to deserve an environment of excellence. Consider the broken windows theory used by politicians and law enforcement. If a building has one broken window that isn't fixed, people will soon break all the others. But because the environment signals that no one cares. Your life works the same way. If you tolerate a mess in your car or your kitchen, you will eventually tolerate a mess in your finances and your relationships. Either you take ownership of the small things, or the big things will eventually fall apart. Most people wait until they feel like cleaning to start. They think they need an afternoon of inspiration to get organized. But the truth is, inspiration is a ghost. It doesn't show up until you are already moving. You don't clean because you feel better. You clean so that you can feel better. Action is the cause, not the result. You've cleaned your room. You've organized your desk. Your environment is finally ready for a high-performance version of you to inhabit it. But there is a second, more dangerous trap waiting for you. Many of you will set a goal today, and by tomorrow afternoon, your mood will change. You'll feel tired. You'll feel off. And you will use that feeling as a reason to break the promise you just made to yourself. In Chapter 3, we are going to explore the brutal necessity of the unchanging mind. I will show you why your emotions are the most unreliable narrators in your life and how to do exactly what you said you would do, even when every cell in your body is screaming for you to quit. Are you a slave to your feelings or a master of your word? We are about to find out. Chapter 3. Do what you said even if the mood changes. Following through on what you said you would do, especially when your mood shifts, is what separates those who grow from those who stay stuck. It is easy to make a plan when you feel good, when the sun is shining in Sydney or when you've just finished a productive morning in Toronto. It is easy to say you will wake up early, eat clean, or stay off social media when you are in a clear headspace. But life does not care about your feelings when it is time to act. The world doesn't pause because you had a rough day at the office or because you didn't get enough sleep. As the legendary American basketball coach Pat Riley once said, there are only two options regarding commitment. You're either in or you're out. There is no such thing as life in between. Real growth begins when you stop asking how you feel and start remembering what you said. If you only move when it feels good, you will never move consistently. You will remain trapped in a cycle of starting and stopping, forever waiting for an emotion that may never arrive. The trap of emotional reasoning. Most people struggle not because they are incapable, but because they let a temporary mood decide whether they will honor a permanent commitment. They treat their feelings like instructions rather than just weather patterns. Your mood will shift constantly. You will feel tired, irritated, bored, or distracted. That is normal. However, your goals did not change just because your energy dipped. Your values and your promises remain the same. If you allow a fleeting emotion to erase a long-term intention, you are not living by design. You are living by accident. Discipline is doing what matters even when everything feels off. The professional mindset. The late Margaret Thatcher, former Prime Minister of the UK, famously said, "Disciplining yourself to do what you know is right and important, although difficult, is the high road to pride, self-esteem, and personal satisfaction." Think about the professionals you admire, the surgeons in London, the engineers in Chicago, the pilots over the Atlantic. Do they only perform when they feel like it? They perform because they gave their word. When you stick to your word, you build a deeper trust with yourself. You begin to see yourself as someone who finishes what they start, and that identity is more powerful than any motivational quote. The danger of small compromises. There will be days when you want to skip your workout or scroll through your phone instead of finishing a report. You will tell yourself, "Just for today, I'll rest." But these small compromises are dangerous because they become habits. You aren't just skipping a task, you are training your brain to depend on comfort before commitment. You must train your mind to move regardless of the internal weather. This is where real personal growth happens, not on the stage where everyone is watching, but behind closed doors when your energy is low and no one is clapping for you. We often think that we need confidence to act. We wait to feel ready or feel strong before we take the leap. But confidence is not the cause of action, it is the result. You don't get confident to do hard things. You do hard things to get confident. Every time you show up when you don't feel like it, you are earning a brick of self-respect that no one can take away from you. You now understand that your word must be law. You have committed to acting regardless of your mood. But even the strongest will can be undermined by a silent, invisible enemy. There is a voice inside your head right now. It is the one that criticized you this morning, the one that told you that you weren't good enough, and the one that sabotages your progress before you even start. You can change your actions, but if you don't change the way you talk to yourself, you are building a house on sand. In Chapter 4, we are going to dive into the internal narrative. I will show you how the way you speak to yourself is either your greatest weapon or your heaviest chain. If you want a better life, you have to start sounding like someone who deserves one. Let's learn how to coach the mind before it criticizes the soul. Chapter 4. Talk to yourself like someone who wants better. The most important conversation you will ever have is the one happening inside your head right now. Most people walk through the streets of London, Toronto, or Melbourne with a voice in their mind that does more damage than any external critic ever could. It is a constant, quiet broadcast that shapes your beliefs, your energy, and ultimately, your reality. For many, that voice has been a destructive force for years, reminding them of every failure and magnifying every doubt. You cannot grow if you are consistently tearing yourself down. You cannot reach for a better life in the United States or Australia if your mind is programmed with the phrase, "I'm not good enough." As the great American industrialist Henry Ford famously said, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." If you want a better life, you must stop treating yourself like an enemy and start talking to yourself like someone who actually wants to succeed. The mentorship mindset. Imagine you were mentoring a young professional in New York who was desperate to improve their life. Would you criticize their every flaw? Would you remind them of every mistake they made 5 years ago and crush their confidence before they even started their day? Of course not. You would offer direction, encouragement, and a reminder of their untapped potential. Why, then, do you refuse to do the same for yourself? The words you speak internally are not just thoughts. They are commands to your nervous system. When you tell yourself you always mess up, you are building a mental environment that makes growth impossible. You are affirming a limitation and locking yourself into an identity of failure. The psychology of redirection. This is not about toxic positivity or empty affirmations. It is about psychology and habit. You can train your mind just as a world-class athlete in Sydney trains their body. It begins by catching the critic in the act. When you hear the automatic thought, "I'll never change," you must interrupt it. Replace it with, "I am building new habits every day." Stop saying, "I can't," and start saying, "I will figure this out." Stop saying, "This is just who I am," and start saying, "This is who I am becoming." Your brain does not care what is true, it only cares what is repeated. If you repeat your limitations, you stay stuck. If you repeat your progress, you grow. The authority of the self. In the end, the most powerful person in your life is you. Not your parents, not your boss in London, and not the influencers you see online. Your mind listens to your voice the most. Stop waiting for someone else to motivate you or fix your mindset. That is your responsibility. When you fix the way you speak to yourself, you fix the way you show up in the world. We often think our thoughts are the result of our personality. They aren't. Many of your negative thoughts are actually the result of consumption. You spend hours feeding your brain the highlights of other people's lives on social media, then wonder why your inner voice feels so inadequate. You are trying to build a positive mindset while drowning in a sea of digital noise. You've learned to coach your mind. You've learned to silence the critic. But there is a thief in your pocket that is stealing the very time and energy you need to put these lessons into practice. Right now, as you listen to this, millions of people in the UK, USA, and beyond are losing their lives one swipe at a time. They have the right mindset, but they have zero focus. In Chapter 5, we are going to confront the algorithm of distraction. I will show you why your scrolling habit is actually a form of slow-motion suicide for your dreams and how to do one useful thing right now to break the cycle. It's time to put the phone down and pick your life back up. Are you ready to stop watching and start doing it? Chapter 5. Stop scrolling and do one useful thing. Look at your phone. Or better yet, look at the time. How many hours have disappeared into the digital void today? Be honest with yourself. I'm not talking about the time you spent answering work emails in London or checking your bank balance in New York. I am talking about the hours you wasted swiping, scrolling, and refreshing. You aren't lazy, and you aren't broken, but you are being robbed. Distraction is stealing your potential quietly, slowly, and with your full permission. You think you're just killing a few minutes while waiting for a coffee in Melbourne or sitting on the tube in London. But those minutes are the currency of your life. 10 minutes in the morning, 20 at lunch, 40 before bed. Suddenly, 3 hours are gone. And what do you have to show for it? Nothing that moves your life forward. As the billionaire investor Warren Buffett once said, the difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. Until you learn to say no to the scroll, you are saying no to your future. The biology of the void. Every time you scroll without purpose, you are trading your most valuable resource, your attention, for a hit of dopamine that yields zero return. Your brain gets a tiny spark of stimulation, but your reality remains stagnant. You aren't solving problems, you are simply passing time. And time is the only thing in this world that is not refillable. You can't earn it back, you can't download more, and there are no refunds. In our modern Western lifestyle, we have normalized the sight of people in restaurants, in meetings, and even in bed next to the people they love, staring at glowing rectangles. We are consuming the lives of others while our own lives sit on pause. This constant stream of noise makes it harder to think, harder to focus, and nearly impossible to stay consistent. You feel tired all the time, not because you've worked too hard, but because your mind is mentally drained by the weight of the unfinished and the unnecessary. The strategy of the one thing. The solution isn't a complex digital detox or a week-long retreat in the mountains. It is a return to the physical world through one useful action. Right now, there is something you should be doing. You know what it is. Instead of reaching for your phone to avoid the discomfort of that task, you must reach for the task itself. Action creates progress, and progress creates energy. Scrolling does the opposite. It creates stagnation and drains your power. Put the phone face down. Close the browser tabs. Pick one useful thing and do it right now. Whether it's organizing your workspace in Chicago or finally responding to that difficult message in London, the size of the task doesn't matter. What matters is that it is useful. This shift is powerful because it tells your brain that you are in control, not the algorithm. As Steve Jobs famously said, "My favorite things in life don't cost any money." It's really clear that the most precious resource we all have is time. Stop giving yours away for free. The edge of the intentional. While the rest of the world is drowning in noise, the person who can focus becomes a superpower. By choosing action over distraction, you build a habit that becomes your competitive edge. While others waste hours chasing trends, you are building skills. While others get lost in the lives of strangers, you are mastering your own. This is about self-respect. It's about deciding that your goals are more important than the next viral video. You may think that once you stop scrolling and start working, the battle is won. But there is a second, more intimate form of distraction. You can put the phone away, but if your body is failing you, your mind will follow. Many people have the will to succeed, but they lack the fuel to sustain it. They are trying to build a high-performance life while feeding themselves like they don't care if they survive. You've cleared the digital noise. You've taken the first useful action. But what happens when the mid-afternoon crash hits? What do you reach for when your energy dips and your body starts screaming for an escape? In Chapter 6, we are going to talk about the fuel of the disciplined. I will show you why your diet is actually a psychological weapon and how to eat right precisely when your body wants to quit. If you want to think like a leader, you have to stop feeding yourself like a victim. Are you ready to treat your body like the machine it was meant to be? Let's talk about the discipline of the plate. Chapter 6. Eat right when your body wants to quit. There comes a moment in every day, whether you are navigating the high-pressure boardrooms of Manhattan or the busy streets of Sydney, where the body feels heavy and the mind begins to look for an escape. In that moment of fatigue, your brain doesn't just ask for food, it asks for comfort. Most people reach for the quick fix, something salty, sugary, or greasy that brings instant gratification but leaves them feeling worse an hour later. As the legendary American athlete Jim Rohn famously said, "Take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live." When your body wants to quit, it doesn't need junk, it needs fuel. Every choice you make in that moment of exhaustion reveals the truth about how serious you are about your transformation. Are you feeding your progress, or are you numbing your potential? The trap of instant gratification. In our modern, fast-paced Western lifestyle, we have been conditioned to see food as a reward or a form of therapy. We tell ourselves we deserve that fast food meal after a long shift. But the truth is, you are not fixing your stress with sugar, you are merely numbing it. When the inevitable crash hits, the stress remains, and now you have added the weight of physical sluggishness to your mental burden. The fuel of the disciplined. You don't feed a high-performance machine garbage and expect it to win a race. Yet, many of us treat our bodies with less care than our cars. Your energy is built on patterns. If you consistently fuel yourself with poison, your focus will disappear, your sleep will suffer, and your mood will drop. Much of the heaviness that professionals in London or Toronto feel isn't just work-related stress. It is the biological consequence of bad fuel. The decision in the kitchen. Real discipline doesn't grow in ideal conditions. It grows under pressure. You learn how to eat right when you are drained and the drive-thru is calling your name, but you choose the clean option anyway. This isn't about following a perfect, restrictive diet. It is about treating yourself like someone who matters, someone who has goals to chase and a future worth protecting. As Hippocrates, the father of medicine, stated, "Let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food." When you choose nutrition over a craving, you aren't just feeding your muscles. You are sending a message to your brain that you are in control. You are building the identity of a leader. One meal can shift your mood, one meal can change your energy, one meal can reclaim your power. We often blame our lack of productivity on a lack of motivation. We think we need a better planner or a new mindset. But often, the problem isn't your mind, it's your chemistry. You cannot think like a visionary if your brain is struggling to process a toxic diet. You are fighting a war against yourself before the day has even begun. You have cleared the clutter from your room. You have mastered your self-talk. You have started fueling your body like a professional. But even with the right fuel, a machine that never moves eventually rusts. Many of you will eat right and think right, but you will still sit still, waiting for the feeling of energy to arrive before you hit the gym or take that walk. You are waiting for the spark when you should be striking the match. In Chapter 7, we are going to explore the paradox of motion. I will show you why movement is the only way to create energy when you feel like you have none. We are going to break the inertia that keeps you glued to your chair. Are you ready to move your body, even when your energy feels at zero? Let's find out how the climb truly begins. Chapter 7. Move your body even if energy feels low. There will be days when your body feels like it is running on empty. The weight of corporate stress in London, the mental fatigue of a long commute in Los Angeles, or the sheer exhaustion of a sleepless night in Sydney will press down on you, making every movement feel like a mountain to climb. You will sit in silence, convincing yourself that you are just too tired, that you deserve rest, and that maybe, just maybe, tomorrow will feel better. But here is the paradox that most people never realize. Movement is not something you do only when energy is high. It is something you do to bring your energy back. When your body wants to shut down, that is often the exact moment it needs motion the most. As the former U.S. President Theodore Roosevelt once said, "The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat." You don't need to be full of energy to start. You just need to begin with whatever strength you have left. Motion creates motivation. In our modern, sedentary Western lifestyle, we wait for motivation to strike like lightning before we move. But human biology works in reverse. Motion creates motivation. Your body is a high-performance system that wakes up when you show it that you are still in charge. Energy does not come from laying on a couch in Vancouver hoping you'll suddenly feel inspired. It comes from breaking the inertia. That initial push, standing up, stretching, or taking those first few steps, feels heavy because you are fighting your own biology. But the moment you move, you interrupt the spiral of fatigue. You don't need a 2-hour session at a premium gym in New York. You simply need to remind your body that it was built to be used. The mental wall. There is a profound difference between genuine recovery and avoidance. Resting when you are physically drained is a strategic choice, but staying still because you are afraid to face the day is a slow death to your discipline. As Barack Obama famously noted during his presidency, he made time for exercise not because he had extra energy, but because it gave him the mental clarity to handle the weight of the world. Movement shifts your mindset. When your muscles move, your brain wakes up, your posture improves, and your focus sharpens. You have felt this before, that walk you didn't want to take in the rain, yet felt completely refreshed after. That small workout that cleared the brain fog when everything else felt stuck. Those are not coincidences. They are proof that you are the architect of your own energy. Responsibility and action. You are responsible for how you feel. Don't surrender to tiredness without asking yourself, "Did I move today?" If the answer is no, then the heaviness you feel isn't because something is wrong with you. It's because your body hasn't had a chance to activate its power systems. Whether it is a round of push-ups in your office or a 5-minute stretch in your living room, you must honor your body by putting it in motion, especially when it resists. We think the cost of skipping a workout is just physical, a bit of extra weight or lost muscle. It's not. The real cost is psychological. Every time you choose the couch over the walk, you are losing the sharpness in your decisions, your confidence drops, and you start shrinking from challenges that used to feel small. You aren't just losing fitness, you are losing your edge. You've moved your body. You've generated the energy. You are finally in the arena. But how do you know if you are actually winning or just keeping busy? Many of you are working hard, but seeing zero results. You are confusing intentions with actions. You have a notebook full of dreams, but a calendar full of empty spaces. In Chapter 8, we are going to talk about the audit of reality. I will show you why you must stop tracking your fake intentions and start tracking your raw, daily actions. It is time to stop lying to yourself about how much work you are actually doing. Are you ready to see the data of your life? Let's get into the science of tracking. Chapter 8. Track your actions, not your fake intentions daily. You can talk about your goals all day long. You can tell your friends in London about your new business idea, post motivational quotes on your Instagram from a beach in Miami, and write your dreams in a leather-bound notebook in a coffee shop in Melbourne. But at the end of the day, the universe does not reward what you meant to do. It only rewards what you actually did. Your actions are the only truth your life possesses. Your intentions are nothing more than noise until they show up in your behavior. As the legendary management consultant Peter Drucker famously said, "What gets measured gets managed." Most people are stuck because they confuse the feeling of having a goal with the reality of making progress. They are living in a story of their intentions while their actions tell a completely different tale. It is time to stop the guesswork and start the audit. The illusion of effort. Every day, millions of people wake up with good intentions. They promise themselves they will stay focused, eat clean, and stop wasting time. But by the time the sun sets over Toronto or Sydney, they have fallen back into the same distractions and the same weak habits. They feel good about setting the goal, and they mistake that emotional high for actual movement. But you don't get stronger by thinking about the gym, and you don't build a career by planning to learn. You grow by doing. If you are serious about improving, you must keep a record of your actions, not your thoughts, not your feelings, and certainly not your hopes for tomorrow. The power of the daily ledger. Tracking your actions removes the guesswork and stops the lies. It forces you to stop overestimating your progress and stop hiding behind the illusion of effort. When you look at a piece of paper and realize you didn't take a single real step toward your goal today, you can no longer pretend you are trying. Measurability. Either you made the call or you didn't. Accountability. Either you showed up or you didn't. Clarity. Either you stuck to the plan or you didn't. This is not about guilt, it is about clarity. As Benjamin Franklin famously did with his virtue chart, you must become your own coach. You need evidence that you showed up. If your daily journal is filled with inspirational fluff instead of tracked data, you are participating in a fantasy. Real discipline starts with observation, paying attention to your patterns, because patterns tell the truth that your moods try to hide. The compound effect of consistency. In the Western world, we are obsessed with bursts of inspiration. But your future is shaped by what you do when no one is watching. Every action is a vote for the person you are becoming. If you don't track your actions, you don't know if you are consistent. You are just guessing. When you track, you stop relying on the high of motivation and start depending on the data of discipline. We often track our actions to see how far we've come. But the most important reason to track is to see where we are lying. When the data shows you haven't worked on your priority in 3 days, it isn't a failure of time, it's a failure of honesty. You aren't busy, you are avoiding it. The data doesn't just show your progress, it exposes your cowardice. You have the data now. You can no longer hide behind intentions. You are looking at the raw truth of your behavior. But for many of you, looking at that truth is too painful. You would rather look at a filter on your phone than look at the person in the mirror. You can track every minute of your day, but if you cannot look yourself in the eye and admit who you have become, the data is useless. In Chapter 9, we are going to have the most uncomfortable conversation of this journey. We are going to go to the mirror. I will show you why growth begins only when you stop lying to yourself about your flaws. It's time for the daily moment of truth. Are you brave enough to face the one person who knows everything you've been hiding? Let's find out. Chapter 9. Look in the mirror and tell the truth. Walk into your bathroom or find a quiet corner with a looking glass. Stand in front of the mirror, but do not look at your hair, your clothes, or the signs of age on your face. Stand there to face the one person who knows every secret, every shortcut, and every lie you have ever told. There are no social media filters here, no performances for your colleagues in London, and no distractions to hide behind. It is just you and your reflection. This is not an exercise in vanity, it is an exercise in radical honesty. Growth begins the second you stop lying to yourself. As the legendary American writer Mark Twain once said, "The first person you must not fool is yourself, and you are the easiest person to fool." You can pretend to the world that you are working hard or waiting for the right time, but the reflection staring back at you knows the truth. It knows if you have been lazy, if you have been inconsistent, and if you have been avoiding the very work that would save you. The trap of self-denial. The reason most people stay stuck, whether they are in a high-rise in New York or a suburb in Melbourne, is that they avoid the uncomfortable parts of self-awareness. It is much easier to say, "I've just been too busy," than to admit, "I have spent 4 hours today avoiding my responsibilities." It is easier to blame your boss, your partner, or the economy than to admit you are not showing up for yourself. But protection of your comfort is the death of your progress. The mirror doesn't care about your excuses or your good intentions. It only shows you what is. Your life today is the sum total of your choices, not your past, not your potential, but the actual decisions you made this morning. If you want better results, you need better decisions, but you cannot make them if you are still lying about where you are starting from. The daily moment of truth. You must build a habit of facing yourself daily. Not just when things fall apart, but every single morning. Look yourself in the eye and ask, did I do what I said I would do yesterday? Did I act on my priorities, or did I chase distractions? Am I living in a way that honors the version of myself I claim I want to become? These answers cannot be sugar-coated. Even if they sting, lean into that pain. It is that sting of truth that wakes you up and breaks the pattern of mediocrity. As the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche observed, "How much truth can a spirit endure? How much truth will it dare?" That became for me more and more the real measure of value. Shifting from critic to coach, facing the truth is not about shaming yourself. Shame is heavy and paralyzing. Honesty, however, is empowering. When you stop pretending you have it all figured out, you finally have the raw material for progress. You stop drifting and start directing. You stop relying on the feeling of motivation and start relying on the fact of discipline. This daily checkpoint is your compass. It ensures your actions match your values and your effort matches your dreams. Many of you will finish this chapter, look in the mirror, and see exactly what needs to change. You will feel a burst of truth-fueled energy. But that is exactly when the most dangerous enemy appears. It isn't the lie you told yourself, it's the negotiator. The voice that hears the truth and immediately tries to cut a deal to soften the blow. You've seen the truth. You know you're behind. You know what must be done. But as soon as you step away from that mirror, a whisper will enter your mind. It will say, "You're right, we need to change, but let's start after this one last break." That voice is your weakness, and it is a master debater. It has talked you out of every great idea you've ever had. In our final chapter, Chapter 10, we are going to learn how to silence the negotiator. I will show you how to stop entering into discussions with your own weakness and how to turn action into a non-negotiable command. It's time to stop talking to yourself and start leading yourself. Are you ready to close the door on excuses forever? Let's finish this. Chapter 10. Stop negotiating with your weakness. Every single day, there is a moment that determines the trajectory of your entire life. It shows up the second your alarm goes off in Chicago, the moment you sit down to work in London, or the minute you face a difficult choice in Sydney. In that split second, a voice inside your head tries to cut a deal with you. It whispers, "Just skip it today," or "You've done enough," or the most famous lie of all, "You can always start fresh tomorrow." That voice is not your friend. It is weakness disguised as logic, and every time you enter into a discussion with it, you have already lost. As the former British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher once said, "I am not a consensus politician. I am a conviction politician." To change your life, you must stop seeking a consensus with your lazier self. You must become a person of conviction. You must stop negotiating with your weakness and start executing your commands. The master debater. Weakness doesn't announce itself with a shout. It shows up as a soft excuse or a temporary delay. But there is nothing temporary about it. The more you entertain that voice, the more it becomes your default identity. You begin to believe you are overwhelmed or tired, when the reality is that you have simply gotten used to letting your weakness make your choices for you. You must get to a place where the decision is already made before the moment arrives. You don't ask yourself if you feel like going to the gym in the rain. You don't weigh the pros and cons of finishing your report at 10 p.m. You act because you said you would. That is how professionals operate. That is how the leaders of industry in New York and the innovators in Berlin build empires. They refuse to listen to the part of them that wants to quit. Feeding your strength. Strength is not an identity you are born with. It is a choice you make repetition by repetition. Every time you say no to an excuse, you are saying yes to your potential. You don't have to be motivated to move. You don't have to be inspired to follow through. You just have to remove the option of negotiation from the table. Think about the goals you have pushed back and the plans you started but never finished. It wasn't because you weren't capable, it was because you left the door open for weakness to walk in. Every skipped task and lazy excuse adds up, but so does the opposite. Every disciplined step and every action taken without giving in to softness turns an average life into an exceptional one. The identity of certainty. When you stop negotiating, you begin to carry yourself differently. You walk taller, you speak with more certainty, and you trust yourself because you know your word actually means something. Your goals do not care how you feel, they only care what you do. Your future does not need more conversations about what you might do, it needs execution. You have finished this journey. You have the tools to fix what you've ignored, to clean your space, to master your self-talk, and to track your reality. But knowledge without action is just a different form of distraction. As Johann Wolfgang von Goethe said, knowing is not enough, we must apply. Willing is not enough, we must do. The version of you that you respect is waiting on the other side of the work you are currently avoiding. Don't let this be just another audiobook you listen to while your life stayed the same. Stand up. Take ownership. Start today. If this journey has shifted your perspective, consider it your first commitment to your new standard. If you found value in these words, subscribe to Mindset Audiobooks and join a global community of doers who refuse to settle for average. Leave a comment below with the one useful thing you are going to finish today. Let your words be public and let your actions be final. Your climb begins now. We will see you at the top.